for the action.
Hello everyone and welcome to Sharp Dress Gaming, and today we're back with some more NPCC Week 3 against the New London Zoroarks and U-Turn Crobat, who is their coach. Now, so usually we do these live, I try and do these live, but obviously it's not live this week, and the reason why is not from technical difficulties like it typically is, but instead between every single turn, it was 60 seconds or longer, and I just couldn't handle it. And this is a 40-turn game, and it's like I was getting frustrated, and I don't know. I mean, obviously, take your time when you're battling, guys. It's important. Obviously, it's just a game, but if you're trying to win, take your time. Don't jump into things. But I don't know. Some of these plays just seem like it would have been obvious to know that and to do it, and on my side, I'm like, I started thinking he was trying to stall timer. Obviously, he wasn't, but it just took so long, and it was so frustrating. And it obviously worked. Or, spoilers, it works because I get so freaking frustrated, and I just can't deal with it. I mean, part of it working was there's a few things I should have did differently on my team, but what can you do? But I brought Rhyperior, Granbull, Heatran, Electivire, Mega Venusaur and Honchkrow, and you brought Victini, Vaporeon, Sneasel, Spiritomb, Nidoqueen, and Scolipede. So here, to lead off, I'm like, alright, either he's going to lead like Victini to U-turn, or probably Scolipede to get Speed Boost and Baton Pass. So I'm going to lead Rhyperior. It's a pretty good lead. The only problem would be the Vaporeon, but we can switch into Venusaur if he does lead with Vaporeon. So that's how we're going to start. And let's see how it ends up turning out. I gave a spoiler, but it's still, I mean, it's a pretty good battle. It's a pretty good battle still. And I'll point out what I did wrong and what I should have did differently. Sets. We didn't have a team builder this week. I was a little too busy, so next week we'll be back with team builders. But he leaves a Scolipede, which is really good for us. I'm going to set up Stealth Rocks here, expecting either the switch or like a Protect or something, and we can take him out with like Rock Blast the coming up turns here. But he switches into Vaporeon. I'm like, alright, I need to switch out to get away from this Vaporeon. There's a chance Rhyperior can live Scald, but I don't want to take that this early in the game. So he's actually going to double switch here, which is a really good play, expecting my Rhyperior to switch out. I could have just went for an Earthquake here, and it would have killed Scolipede from this range, or actually killed Scolipede from 100%, so it didn't matter, especially after Stealth Rocks if he had Focus Sash. But alas, I was not ballsy enough, and I switched into Venusaur, which is still fine. We have Earthquake on this Venusaur. It is a mixed Venusaur with Earthquake knockoff and Giga Drain, so it can deal with Victini a little bit. Also have Synthesis instead of Leech Seed this time, because I've had enough of this trying to live with Leech Seed nonsense. But he does end up setting Spikes up, so I'm like, alright, that's not super bad. I get the Earthquake off here. It's going to do some nice damage. Obviously not a ton, and Scolipede's going to get the Speed Boost. Doesn't really matter unless he ends up switching out at some point. But he's going to set up another layer of Spikes. I'm like, alright, he's going to be able to get up 3 layers on us. It's kind of unavoidable at this point, but we're just going to go for Earthquakes, get rid of this thing. And one more Earthquake will take him out, so he can set up another layer of Spikes. But he actually doesn't. He goes for Mega Horn, surprisingly. So he's going to hit the Mega Horn. It does almost 50%, but not quite. And then my Earthquake's going to take it out. So Venusaur picking up an early KO this game, getting rid of the possible Speed Boost Baton Pass. In comes the Sensuki, which is the Victini. I'm like, alright, I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna switch in my my Heatran, because Heatran can take is immune to the fire type moves, and it is resistant to any psychic type moves, which is probably what this Victini would end up going for on my Heatran, or not my Heatran, my Venusaur. It actually turns out he's a special Victini, which I prepared for physical Victini, but I think special Victini we also kind of covered just because it's not as strong as physical. It's a cool way to switch it up, but a lot of my Pokemon have pretty good special defense as it is, especially against moves Victini has, so I wasn't super concerned. So here I'm just going to go for the substitute. I wasn't sure if Victini gets Earth Power or not. That's something I didn't look up before the match, which I should have, but he does switch out, probably meaning he's choiced in some way, since we didn't see Life Orb or anything like that. And we didn't see Leftovers either, sorry, because Stealth Rocks. But Vaporeon's going to stay in here. I'm just going to go for an Earth Power, trying to get this thing to get a special defense drop. Doesn't do a ton, and we don't get the drop either. He's going to go for a Scald to break my substitute. And at this point, I could have brought in Venusaur, and I probably should have. But I'm like, well, maybe he expects me to switch, so he does something else, or maybe he switches expecting the switch as well. So I'm just going to go for another Earth Power, get a little bit of damage off on this thing, and maybe a drop, so Venusaur can come in and take care of it, even if he does knock us out. So I do go for the Earth Power here. I'm going to get a little bit more damage on it. No drop once again. We get it down to 15. It actually goes for a Roar, so I'm like, alright, I'm kind of glad I went for the attack then. It's going to bring out the Electivire, so I'm like, alright, he's got to be afraid of a Wild Charge here. So I'm going to choice myself into Earthquake, expecting his Nidoqueen to come out on the Electric-type move. Unfortunately, he just protects. So best play for him, because he can see what I'm trying to do, and he can get a little bit of health recovery back. And unfortunately, I am Choice Scarf. This thing was made to be able to get a Psychic off on Lopunny if Lopunny started getting out of hand, but obviously he didn't bring it. So I'm just going to Earthquake here. I just want to see how much it does this Vaporeon, try and get a hold on what kind of defenses it has. And it goes for a Wish, so I'm like, alright, we're getting nowhere now. This is going to be annoying. So he's going to get some leftovers. I believe he protects here. No, he doesn't. So I get another Earthquake off. It doesn't knock out, obviously, because we didn't do enough the first time, and he's just going to roar us out again. Alright, well, what can you do? So if I would have been Life Orb Electivire, this game would have been over a lot faster, but alas, I was not. So he's going to get his Wish, and unfortunately Heatran comes out on the roar, which is just not good for us. Any other Pokemon would have been fine, especially Venusaur, obviously, but... I mean, and Rhyperior probably wouldn't have been the best either, so he had a better chance of getting a Pokemon that doesn't like the matchup than he would getting one that was good for it. So I'm just going to go for an Earth Power, expecting another Roar. He actually goes for a Wish once again. So, hooray. Get used to this. This is most of the match. Wish Protect, and as stally as that is, imagine if there are 60 or more seconds in between each round, or each turn. That was my life. So I'm going to go for Lava Plume. Either he switches or I get a burn, and I don't get a burn. Hooray. He's going to go for Scald. That's going to knock out Heatran. Alright, well, probably could have just brought in Venusaur there and been better off, but alas, we didn't. So Heatran's down. Not that Heatran was going to do super good against this team. I mean, it did well walling the Victini, but aside from that, it's not going to be able to do too much. So I'm going to bring in the Venusaur here. And I'm just going to go for Giga... Actually, I think I go for Synthesis here. Yeah, I go for Synthesis because I am pretty low at health, and I don't want to, like, Giga Drain something that resists it, like the Victini, and not get a lot of health back, and then we are in a really bad position. So I am going to go for Synthesis here. He does bring out the Spiritomb, as you guys see, and now I get to Synthesize. Now, in the coming up turn here, I'm just going to Giga Drain, get some more health back. Actually, I think I knock off. Yeah, I knock off here. Because I mix Venusaur, I have Earthquake and Knockoff for the Victini, then I have Giga Drain as well. So I do the Knockoff, get rid of that leftovers, and he's going to go for the Will-O-Wisp. Now, I'm assuming he assumed that I was full physical Venusaur, because of seeing only physical moves so far, but I do have Giga Drain, so I go for the Giga Drain here. It's going to bring him down to 50%. And he actually goes for another Will-O-Wisp. Probably expecting to switch because he thought I was a physical Venusaur, but alas, I am not. So here I'm just going to go for another Giga Drain. And I was kind of expecting the Pain Split at this point. But I figured, let's just do something. Let's just Giga Drain. Because every Pokemon has really good health right now, so Pain Split would have hurt everything. So I'm just going to leave Venusaur in to take the Pain Split. And it's going to bring us under 50 after the burn. But I'm just going to continuously Giga Drain here. He's going to switch the Spiritomb out and go into Nidoqueen. Sorry, there's a fly. Goes into Nidoqueen. So this is neutral, but Nidoqueen does have some good, has some fairly decent, what's the word called? Natural bulk, so it takes it fairly well. And here was probably my misplay of the game that ended up making us lose. I'm like, well, maybe he just overpredicts and doesn't go for Sludge Wave, which really the only Pokemon that would take Sludge Wave fairly well is the Rhyperior. So I let Venusaur go down, which was our big counter to Vaporeon, so now we're going to have a problem with that thing. Not that we haven't already had a problem with it already. So he's going to switch out the Nidoqueen. I'm going for Earthquake here, I believe. He brings in the Vaporeon. It's going to take its Stealth Rock damage, which is nice, and we get the Earthquake off. We get a big hit off on this Vaporeon. And it's going to bring it down to a point where another Earthquake will kill it, even after Leftovers recovery. So I'm like, alright, we have a chance to live Scald, from the calcs at least. We had a chance to live Scald after Leftovers. So I'm going to go for an Earthquake. He protects. Hooray! I mean, obviously good move. You get to see what I'm doing, and also get more Leftovers. Had I still had Venus... Yeah, Venusaur's got on at this point. Had I still had Venusaur, I could have switched in on that Protect, and we would have been looking really good. I mean, he could have went for another Protect, but still, Giga Drain would have been looking really good on this thing. So he's going to Scald. We had a chance to live. We don't. Had we lived, this Vaporeon would have been out of the way, and we would have been looking really good to finish out the rest of the game. But alas, no such thing happens for us. So he's at about 50. I'm going to bring in the Honchkrow. Brave Bird does over 50%. He's going to protect, see what we're trying to do to him, and get some more Leftovers recovery. I'm going to try Brave Bird because that's the only move I have that's going to be able to knock this thing out. Unfortunately, I do have Protect as my final... So I have Sucker Punch, Brave Bird, Pursuit, and Protect on this Honchkrow. I ran Protect in case he brought Mega Lopunny, and if he tried to fake it out to get a quick knockout on it towards the end of its life, then I could just Protect on that turn, and then we get Sucker Punch once we have a bunch of Moxie boosts up. Unfortunately, he did not bring it, so... Initially I was going to have Roost over that, which would have been great here, because we get the Brave Bird off on the Spiritomb, and it's going to faint, and we get that +1. I mean, obviously it's... Roost wouldn't have mattered here, but it matters later in the game, if I would have had Roost or not. But we get that +1, and now Sneasel's going to come in. Unfortunately, Ice Shard is going to knock us out, and also I don't outspeed, so I can't Sucker Punch him, because Ice Shard is going to get a better priority. So here I just Protect in case he has Fake Out, and just to see if he has Ice Shard. Goes for Ice Shard, so now I need to get Honchkrow out of here. The only Pokemon that's really taken an Ice Shard at this point is going to be Granbull, especially after the Intimidate drop, and then I can go for a Play Rough and knock this thing out. And if Sneasel's out of the way, Honchkrow could sweep the rest of the game. Except for, obviously, Vaporeon with Wish Protect nonsense. If he's able to get up high enough health, Brave Bird won't take him out. But, so Sneasel's going to actually switch out because he does need it for Honchkrow. It's the only way he can take care of it. So I go for a Play Rough on the Victini switch-in. And obviously it's not going to do enough to knock out Victini, but does nice damage. We get the attack drop. Obviously it doesn't matter. We've already seen this as special attacking Victini. For some reason goes for Energy Ball. I'm assuming he didn't want to go for Slice Shot because of Honchkrow, but he could have went for a Fire move. I guess accuracy was a thing. I don't know why he didn't go for like Blue Flare or whatever the attack is that Victini gets. But we're able to knock him out with a Crunch. I had Crunch for Bronzong in case the Bronzong had Levitate. Obviously no Bronzong. Nidoqueen's going to come in here though. And I'm just going to have to let poor Granbull go down because I don't have another switch in. And yeah. I mean, even if I had switched it out, it wouldn't have lived an entry on the Stealth Rocks, a hit from Sneasel, and a second hit from Sneasel, so it wasn't really worth keeping around. So I'm going to bring in Electivire, and I'm just going to go for the Earthquake here. We should outspeed Nidoqueen, which we do. So like, it could have went either way with Electivire. I was going to put Life Orb, but I wanted the Choice Scarf for the Lopunny, and had we had Life Orb, we could have dealt with this Vaporeon a lot better, but alas, I didn't. Now, I'm going to switch out the Electivire, because I need to be able to get back into Wild Charge to take care of this thing, and Vaporeon's going to Wish. So now this is the part of the game where essentially I was just screaming at my screen, because not only was each turn taking 60 seconds or longer, but he was also just hitting Wish and Protect, which you would think you wouldn't have to wait that long in between turns to figure out how to do that, but, I mean, to each their own. To each their own. It was just getting very, very aggravating for me, and it was not a fun battle at all. It started off as a pretty fun one. I made a few bad plays, i.e. sacking off Venusaur and Rhyperior was not good at all. I should have kept those two. And we could have dealt with Sneasel and Vaporeon with those two, but alas. And you can see Brave Bird is a 2-hit KO, so obviously this Wish and Protect nonsense is going to be able to stop that though. But again, I reiterate, if you know you're just going to Wish and Protect, don't take 60 seconds in between turns. There's no reason for it. So that's why this battle isn't live. But what can you do? What can you do? What can you do? He was making the plays. But what can you do? So obviously Honchkrow is just going to Brave Bird itself to death while Vaporeon just sits there and takes it. If we would have got a crit at any point, we had a really good chance of coming back from it, but obviously we did not crit. And I don't have Roost. If I had Roost here, this is the spot where if I had Roost, we would be looking a lot better. I could just Roost away all my problems while he was protecting, and then we can continuously assault him with Brave Bird till we got a crit. But, alas. Alas, no cigar. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. This is really the rest of the battle until the final turn, which you change it from Protect to Scald, because Electivire can't one-hit KO a max HP Vaporeon. So obviously I'm going to faint here, and this is the turn he gets the Wish on, which works out even better for him. I mean, obviously, every turn I hit, you're going to be wishing because the other turns you're protecting, so I guess there really was no math behind that at all. It just, that's how it works out. So he gets a free Wish there. So the following turn when I bring in Electivire, you can protect. And Electivire is not going to survive a Sneasel anyway, so that's what kind of made me more mad. I mean, obviously, you're trying to get the differential, but just let me knock out this stupid Vaporeon. But differential does matter, so good on him for not sacking it off and keeping it around, because it could end up mattering later in the season. Actually, I don't know if everybody is still... Actually, there's a few that are 3-0 currently. Obviously, he's going to get the win after this match. I've alluded to it at the beginning and throughout the match as well. We can see Wild Charge does about, I'd say 75%, probably a little bit more. So, had we been Life Orb, we might have actually knocked him out as well. But again, we might have not outsped the Needle Queen, and also we probably would... I mean, we would not have outsped Mega Lopunny if it had showed up. But anyway, that's going to be the match. So we do unfortunately get our first loss in the NPCC, but we can come back next week, get that win against the Iowa Haluchas. So be sure to come back next week, excuse me, and check that out. Otherwise, we'll see you next time, guys. And be sure to hit that like button if you did enjoy, and be sure to go check out U-Turn Crowbat. His link will be in the description below. And once again, we'll see you next time. Stay sharp, everyone, and go Wild Charge.